everybody, it's me, Laura, and today we're going to be doing another jewelry tutorial, and this is on my spheres and schmears. Yes. I always think shmee for some reason. I don't know why, but it happens, right? Anyways, we're going to start out with right away using some tools. And I really love this particular ball set of tools, and I wanted to really feature them in this set of jewelry that I'm going to create. I'm also going to bring in my blade, of course, my burnisher, my Exacto Knife, my needle tools, and my knitting needles. Now, mind you, in this video I found I really didn't need the knitting needles that much, but you know, you put them out there because it might come in handy. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and bring in some of my mud clay, and I'm going to use my largest ball tool, but I thought, oh, wait a minute, I forgot to go ahead and measure this for you guys. Oh my goodness. Anyways, I just said, okay, roll that ball back out. Okay, yeah, we're looking at close to an inch in diameter, not an inch completely, but somewhere along those lines. And then I'm just going to smear it just like you normally would with your finger. Instead, I'm going to use my ball tool to help make that smear. And then I'm going to create another ball, and it's going to fit right inside that channel. I'm going to come down to the smaller ball tool size, so the smaller big ball, the second largest, right? And I'm going to go ahead and put that smear in there and then build it out with the same kind of a thing all the way down the line with those ball tools. So I want to say I wound up with about, what was it? 1, 2, 3, so about 7 or 8 smears all together. And you know, this was so much fun. I mean, you could use your finger, but you don't have that consistent, you know, size of smear that you want to do, right? I mean, you want to be able to have this where you go down in size. And so the ball tools do that for me here. All right, so now that I have most of my smears, I've got like 7. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then one more, 8. We'll have the 8 smears. Once I get them all in using my ball tools, I'm going to use my flat blade, you know, my tissue blade, and I'm going to just kind of make sure the sides are as even or as, you know, one nice line that kind of forms this teardrop. Once I have that, I'm going to come down right in the center and I'm going to cut this thing in half. And I love this. I love cutting things in half. What is that? You know, there's something with it. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to take these pieces, set them to the side, and then I'm going to bring in some more of my mud clay, and I'm going to form up 2 balls about the same size. I'm trying to get them at the same size. And these things measured out to be about a 1/2 inch in diameter. And so that I have these 2 balls, they're about a 1/2 inch in diameter. What you're going to do is you're going to take one of them and then put the other one on the other side, and you're going to just roll that smear part right around the ball. Now, before you do that though, you're going to come in with the ball tool. It was the 3rd largest one down, and you're going to make that indent on that sphere that you have this, the smears, the spear and the smears, you know, kind of curling around. This gives this almost a little bit of a shell look, which is kind of fun. And because we're using the ball tools, the nice thing with creating this particular set of earrings is that I can go back and redo it time and time again. So if you wanted to recreate this set of jewelry, you can go back and do so. That's what I like about this. Not, you know, I mean, I got shows coming up. Okay, I'm going to admit it. Yes, I've got shows coming up, and it'd be really nice to create a set of jewelry where I could go back in and really create it easily without having to think too hard on how to do so. And for those of you who don't have shows coming up, but you want to recreate this, say you want to create a similar set for a friend or, you know, a daughter or some kind of family member of yours, this is a nice way of being able to make a very simple set of jewelry without having to really think too hard on how to do so. I then bring in another little bit of my mud clay, which I'm creating these two little balls. They're 1/4 of an inch in diameter, and I'm just going to place them in the center of that indented sphere. Okay, now that I'm going to bring in some of my eye pins, and these were silver. I probably should have gone with gold because really the gold turned out better, especially with my paint choices. But anyway, I made that little hook, and then I'm just going to kind of inset that into the, the one earring piece I've got going here. Now, as I'm doing this, I lifted these two pieces up off of my tile with my tissue blade. And in doing so, when you inset that eye pin, just do it very gently, all right? That way then, you gotta just give it some care. If you have to, put it in the fridge for a little bit so the clay can cool down. So when you go to put the eye pin in, it'll be easier to do so. Okay, so now this piece I absolutely love. I love the pendant piece to this set of earrings. I mean, the earrings were okay, but I don't know, I love the pendant piece. And from what I gather, I've been flipping through a few videos recently on jewelry trends and stuff like that. And one of the big things right now is statement pieces, statement pendant pieces. And this is one that definitely, to me, it definitely gives you a statement. And it's a lot of fun because it is different from the earring parts or the earring pieces that we just formed. But, here's the thing. It's not exactly the same form, this pendant piece, and it's fairly large. This thing is pretty big. So if you wanted a statement piece and you want to be in the in the end, if you will, definitely this is the way to go. And notice there I only did 4 smears and I cut it in half, and those particular smears, I started with the largest one, I went down to the 3rd largest ball to make the sphere, and then I jumped one and went down to that size for that 4th smear. Once I have that though, like I said, I went ahead, cut it in half or close to half. And that's okay too. If you're off a little bit, no big deal. Then I created another ball, which I want to say this ball was actually 3/4 of an inch in diameter. So it was a little smaller. And part of this was I didn't want a ton of clay. I mean, this thing's going to get pretty bulky. You don't need it. I already have the smears going, right? Yeah. And then I'm creating another smaller ball, placing that in, and making that indent with that ball tool once more, and then taking one of the smear sections, placing it around that on the top, okay? I'm gonna lift it up off my tile just for a second, then take the other smear and curl it the opposite direction. And when I did that, it created this nice tail. I loved that. Oh my goodness. I'm using my ball tool, of course, to form it up into that circular form, create another ball, and then place that right into where it just curls around, bring in that smaller ball tool, a little smaller, and then make that indent once more, create another small ball, and place that in there into that smaller little indented area. Again, using that little ball tool and just making that indent. It was such a nice form. And again, this goes towards that whole, that thing I learned in college where you're creating an S form where the eye will be able to move throughout the piece entirely. Okay, now that I have that piece formed up, I brought my blade in, lifted it up, and then I'm going to bring in an eye pin. I'm going to make that little hook shape once more. We'll cut off the excess and then bring that little hook, and we're going to place that into the top of our larger pendant piece. Now, when you do this, you might have to reform it a little bit, use your needle tool or a burnisher. But once that's done, bake this pendant for about 275 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. In my case, it might be longer for you. And then once that's done, come in with some black clay that's been rolled out here on a number 4 setting on my Atlas pasta machine. I put a little super glue on the back, a little bit of my liquid clay, and then I'll place that down onto my black sheet and then use my needle tool to go ahead and trace out this form. I'll rebake this once more at 275 degrees for about 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, now to the good part, at least in my mind it is. Right here, I'm bringing in some of my black acrylic matte paint, and I'm just gonna paint all the pieces up, the earrings and the pendant, and just get it so it's all nice and good. Now, when it comes to those earrings, I did not put any backing on them. If you want to go ahead and do that, please do so. It's not a big deal. It's just kind of a nice way to finish it off so it looks nice and finished on the back. Once I have that done though, I'll bring in my metallics. I'm going to have my chocolate brown, my copper, my bronze metal, my rose gold, my radiant copper, and my peridot. Now, you're only seeing the 4 right here, okay? So I have like my chocolate brown, my copper, my the radiant copper, and I do believe the rose gold down right here right now, okay? I came back in with the peridot, and I really had to, because it was like, yeah, had to be done. That and the bronze metal. And both of those, it was interesting because I found that when it came to the radiant copper and the rose gold, they were so similar in color. They really were. They were very similar. The rose was a little bit more on the reddish side, just slightly on the reddish side. And then the radiant copper was just a little bit more towards the browns. But it was slight, but I thought, no, it worked really well, okay? So I started out with the copper on that curl on the upper part there. I did that, and then I came in with the rose gold, and then I went to that radiant copper, and then I came back to the copper at the very end on that curl there. Whereas the bronze, I want to say the chocolate brown is round in that major sphere there. And then I brought in the bronze metal, I do believe, on the inner sphere. And then the bubble, of course, was that peridot. Now, here's the thing. These are not normally the colors I go to. But I got into a fall thing, go figure. Normally my palette leans more towards my jewel tones, like my mauves and my blues and my purples and stuff. But I thought, no, we are gonna, kind of go outside our little boundaries, where I always get into that thing of like, oh, I want to just go to my, no, don't go to your jewel tones all the time where you want to do your purples and blues. No. Go to something a little different. This is not usually my color palette, and so stepping out and into something like this is good for me, because this way then I have to think a little bit differently. I have to think, oh, this is a different, set of colors I'm playing with, and what would this look like? And when I got this set done using this particular palette, I loved it. Oh my goodness, I just loved it. I thought, this is nice. If you're going to dress up for fall, this is a nice, color scheme to go with. So keep that in mind, especially with these metallic paints. You want to play with something that's going to give you a little bit more of a fall feel. This is definitely going to do it. So from here, I'm just going to go ahead. I'll let you guys watch my paintbrush talk as I complete up this pendant piece. All right, so moving into the earrings here, I decided to go with my chocolate brown, my copper, my bronze metal, my rose gold, and the Peridot. I left the radiant copper out, and I think it was just because the rose gold and the radiant was just so close. And really, this goes towards the pendant piece too. You can switch them out a little bit. They were just so close in color that I thought, yeah, now I'm going to go towards the reds. And a lot of this, again, is that fall thing, right? I love the red. It's so beautiful. And I just thought, let's go ahead and stick with these colors. We'll leave that radiant copper out for now. And it worked out just fine, okay? I went with that chocolate brown on that larger sphere one more time. And this is to kind of mimic the pendant piece a little bit. But because it's a different shape and form, yes, it's very similar, but it's different. It works out really good as a matching set, but not too matchy. That's one of the, guys, I've been watching too many videos, especially on, okay, what's the trends, right? But I did find out that one of the trends that is not in is being too matchy-matchy, right? Okay, so you don't want to have the pendant and the earrings look exactly the same. This is where the pendant doesn't look the same. It's slightly different, gives it a different tone. It's got that S shape going on, whereas this is more of a little bit of a shell shape kind of thing where it's just purely almost circular. But they go really well together as an overall set. Now, the other thing I'm going to be bringing in here in just a little bit is going to be that crazy 0.7 millimeter Posca paint marker. I can't get away from that thing. I do the dot thing. I do the dot thing on the actual pendant piece and on the earrings. It's just a nice highlight. I thought I was going to do more line. Just didn't quite get there this time. I thought, and maybe it was just because of the colors. I'm working with a palette that I don't normally work with, but that's okay. I just did a simple dot pattern with that white Posca marker. And then I brought in my varnish and varnished up both sets together. This way then the paint that we put onto our earrings and our pendant will be completely protected. So again, one more time, I'm going to let you guys watch my hands talk as I paint up this set of earrings and start finishing it up. All right, so this is the end result of creating my spheres and smears jewelry set. Please use this for study and reference. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I'm always wondering what you're thinking. Otherwise, I am sending out my biggest hugs to each of you, and I hope you have a fantastic day.